Would I start a dump truck business? I made a video about a year ago about how to start a dump truck business, how much money you can make, how there's a lot of money in this business, but there's also a lot of headaches. So I'm going to tell you today, my framework when I'm thinking about starting a business, I go through 5 main things, and I'm going to go specifically on the dump truck business. So if you're thinking about starting a dump truck business, you're going to want to stick around this entire video because I'm going to go through some things that you may have not thought about when you were thinking about starting your own dump truck business instead of driving for someone else. So this is a framework I go through. Number 1, I look at a startup cost. Every business before I start, every business before I buy, it's startup cost. Do I have the money to actually buy this business, or do I have the money to actually pay for the equipment that's required in this business? Because if you don't have the money, then you shouldn't start the business. That's also looking at your budget of, do I have enough money saved up where I can go 3 to 6 months, because a lot of dump truck, they net 30 and net 60 you. So it's going to take 30 to 60 days just for you to get money in. So the gas that you paid for a month ago, you're not getting paid, you're not having revenue coming in for 30 to 60 days. So you got to make sure that you have about probably 6 to 9 months of expenses saved up to make sure that your business has the viability to stick around. Okay, so you're budgeting, running it's called a pro forma, which is a looking 12 months into the future of what you think your business costs will be at the beginning, how long it takes for the revenue to come in. You're budgeting everything. It's a math equation. You need to get in the math. If you can't afford it, then you shouldn't start it. Number 2, I look at recurring revenue. Does the business have recurring revenue, or is there some sort of aspect of the business that will create recurring revenue? So dump truck business, there is somewhat of a recurring revenue, because if you can get a contract with a builder or a contract with another bigger dump truck company where you can get a steady flow of loads for a big building project, or maybe a highway, they're repaving the road and you're hauling some asphalt out there, gravel, whatever it is, there is a recurring revenue aspect, because if you can get one of those contracts, you can continue to bring in money, because every day you know that you have loads going in to go deliver that sand and gravel. Okay, so make sure that you can implement recurring revenue. In this business, I think there is a little bit of recurring revenue, but once that contract dries up, you need to make sure that you're always constantly putting in new relationships to get that going. Number 3, does it fit my lifestyle? Does it fit the lifestyle that I want? A lot of people start a business because they want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't actually think before they start. Does this business fit my lifestyle? Is it what I want? The nice thing about dump trucking instead of long haul trucking is that you're home every night. A lot of people want to be home every night with their family, so that fits a good lifestyle. Do you want to be in a truck all day? Do you want to be hitting 8 to 10 hour, 12-hour days in a dump truck? Do you want to be doing that? Is this something that you're willing to do? Are you willing to do this for a long period of time to make sure that your business is successful? Number 4, can the business be scaled? This dump truck business, in my opinion, very hard business to scale, because it takes another capital expenditure, very expensive one. I mean, you're not going to get a nice dump truck under 50, 60 grand unless you know how to work on them, you know how to fix them, and you're in kind of a different category. But still, you're going to have to pay 30 to 40 grand. That's a decent expense with the amount of money that you can make in dump trucking, maybe 250 to 230, but you have a lot of expenses, diesel fuel, maintenance on the truck, and you have a big capital expenditure. And also, in addition to that, you also have a big capital expenditure with a driver. I mean, 80 to 90% of your cash flows or your revenue for that dump truck is consumed by a driver, maintenance, and fuel costs, diesel fuel. So, you're sitting here and you're like, man, for me to scale this business, my profit margin continues to go way down because I have to buy the truck, I have to maintain the truck, I have to hire a driver. The driver's going to quit on me. It's hard to find good drivers. How do you continue to find good drivers? Do you provide them a truck? Do you bring on owner operators? Does that even work? Are you able to get them enough loads compared to somebody else? Are you able to do these things? Very hard things. There's the driver aspect, there's the expense aspect of the dump truck. Very hard business to scale. Very hard business to scale. Anybody who's got 10 to 20 dump trucks out there in a company, I respect you so much, because that is so hard to build. That is so hard to build. So this business, in my mind, get a very low grade in scalability. It's going to take a lot for me to scale, but let's pause, right? Not every business, not every owner wants to scale their business, right? You may be driving for somebody else, maybe making 50K, but you could start your own and make 120. So maybe you don't want to hire a driver. Maybe you're like, hey, I just want to make more money. Well, then you don't need to necessarily care about the scalability, because that's not your goal. Number 5, I think is a super important thing that a lot of people don't think about when they start a business, is can the business be sold? If the business can't be sold, in my opinion, you shouldn't start it because you're not building equity. You're creating a job. And again, like I said before, you may be fine with a high-paying job as a owner-operator, single-person LLC of a dump truck company making very good money versus what you could make somewhere else. I completely understand that. My opinion is if you need to think a little bit bigger, if you can start a company that can be sold, a good company can be sold for about 5 to 7 times the profit. So, if a dump truck company could be sold, you could get it to 100,000 of profit and sell for 500 to 700 grand. But that's not true. You can't sell a dump truck company. Maybe when it's bigger and you have contracts and the owner is out of the truck, then you could probably sell that dump truck company at a multiple of the profit. But at a small level, this business cannot be sold for outside of the dump truck equipment. Maybe a little bit of goodwill toward the contract. But for the most part, you cannot sell this business, which is okay. Like I said before, if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to budget everything, I'm going to see how much I can make, and if I can put in a little bit more time, I can make double what I'm making driving for somebody else. It may make sense for you to start, but make sure you run the math, because if you're working twice as long and making only 20,000 more versus 20,000 less working for somebody else, it might make sense for you to start a side hustle in addition to driving for somebody else. Maybe not jump fully into this business because there's so many expenses. And I would caution you, be very cautious before starting this business, because the expenses continue and sometimes the revenue slows down. And when it slows down, you still have to pay your insurance. You still have to pay to maintain that truck. So you have a lot of expenses that are continuing to go on. There's a lot of factors that are moving this business into high risk, very hard to be successful. But you can do it. I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying the person I would recommend to start a dump truck business, very detailed, very specific, knows how to maintain their own truck, and knows the industry and has connections to get loads, okay? So as always, please like and subscribe. I'll be reviewing business ideas and talking about entrepreneurship all the time. Thanks.